Hello everybody, happy Wednesday. I love you and I am sending you a big virtual hug wherever you are on the earth plane. So I wanted to do 2 videos today. The first video is going to be about how to come back to our center, how to realign and reconnect into who we are, our frequency, our light, our consciousness. Because in the midst of everything that is unraveling and continuing to unravel in the external world, we can get pulled off center. We can get pulled out of alignment. So how do I get back into an aligned state? And what is an aligned state? Okay, so an aligned state is when you are in the body, you are with your breath, and you are connected into the three aspects of you that exist as a frequency in you right now. First aspect is the ego, mind, personality, the third dimensional aspect of you. Right? It's how you're navigating a lot of this reality right now. The second aspect is your higher self, which is the aspect of you that understands from a much higher perspective who you are, what you're doing here, and how to continue to navigate from this higher version of you, the observer. The third aspect of you is this higher consciousness that dropped into the human form. The aspect of you that said, yes, I'll come into human form. Here's my Akashic records. Here's what I want to experience. Here's my blueprint. Here's how I'm going to be of service. Those are 3 aspects vibrating in 3 different frequencies, all within your physical body right now. And when you come into an aligned state, a centered state, you're connecting to all 3 of these aspects. Okay? And what it feels like is it feels like you are at peace, that all is well, that you're okay, that everything is okay. It's this calm. It's a state of just calmness. And a lot of times the way we get there is through meditation, right? Or through going out into nature. Finding your breath and just breathing can bring you right into this aligned state, right? And so it's really important right now, as we are navigating all of this external consciousness and clearing it for the collective, that we understand how to come back into an aligned state. So here's how this works energetically, okay? We have a channel that runs through our body, and that channel is energetic, and it holds currently 7 energy centers, which we call chakras, right? There's 7 energy centers that are all spinning. All of you have 7 centers that are currently spinning, and they're all spinning at different frequencies, okay? They're not necessarily all spinning the same frequency, although for some of you that may be true, okay? And what happens is that when you are in an aligned state, you are connecting into this channel. And these energy centers that are spinning, they're spinning all of the energy through your body, right? In this toroidal field, in this figure 8 sort of way. And you're able to feel multiple different frequencies. You're able to connect into all 3 aspects of you. And you're able to just feel the energies. You're able to feel you, right? So what happens is that when we start dealing with external situations, which we deal with in every now moment, whether that's a phone call, a text message, social media, pictures, news, anything you're doing when in your regular routine, right? Everything we're doing, we have to deal with the external. And the external experiences are consciousness. And every external experience is navigated and filtered through that channel that holds all the energy centers, the channel that you align into to feel centered, to feel aligned. That density, that external consciousness moves through that exact same channel. So if you are navigating, like most of us, very dense external situations and circumstances, experiences right now, that channel is going to experience and feel and push through those dense consciousnesses. And when that happens, you start to get off center. Why? Because those external experiences, that consciousness is so dense. Density is a slowed energy, right? So the denser something is, the slower the energy is, the slower it's spinning. So you've got all these energy centers in your channel spinning. They spin in order to move energy. Then you've got this denser energy coming in from all the external, and it starts to flood and slow down those energy centers, right? And all of a sudden you're in this aligned state. This external experience comes in, consciousness, and you start to get muddied, right? You're like, wait a second, what's going on here? Why do I feel heavy? Why do I feel dense? Why do I feel like I just went down a rabbit hole? Hold on a second, I don't know my voice right now. Wait a second, do I believe that? Do I believe that? Wait, who am I again? Right? We start questioning all these things. We start feeling the heaviness of everything, right? We start feeling much more density as we are in our bodies trying to stay aligned. Why? Because the external circumstances and experiences are being filtered through our channel, the same channel that keeps you aligned and centered with all three aspects. This is just how it works, right? So when we start to get muddied, right? You imagine that you have this clear sink, right? And the drain is totally clear. So you turn the water on and the water is just running right through it. But all of a sudden you start to pour dirt and mud, right? In that drain, in that sink. And it starts to clog up the drain. It clogs it up, right? And you're thinking, wait a second, the drain used to be really clear, and how do I get this mud, how do I get the muckiness to go through, right? To clear through. So here's what we do, because we can't deny the external. We can't not see it and not feel it, because believe it or not, one of the reasons you're here is to shift the collective, and the way you shift it is to feel, experience, filter that density through you, and integrate it into light. You're integrating it into light. And as you do that, right, it has to filter through your channel in order to be integrated. So first, let's recognize energetically what's happening. When you feel off center, what is actually occurring is denser consciousness is moving through your channel. And it's clogging the clarity. It's clogging the clear, aligned state that you're used to being in, right? It's not that you're disconnected. It's not that you are not aligned. It's that there is other consciousness that's very dense, that's filtering through that same channel, and it's clogging that clarity, right? So what we want to do is be able to stay in that aligned state, recognize when that density is coming through, and process that density in a more graceful way where we don't feel as lost or as confused or as heavy as we may feel. Because what's going to happen is we're going to continue to experience these really dense consciousnesses. This is how we shift the collective, right? So we're going to continue to experience these. So how do we navigate this, right? How do we try to stay in an aligned state while the density is moving through us? The first is to recognize what's happening. To recognize that it's energy, to recognize, oh my God, I'm an observer, higher self. I'm now observing myself going down the rabbit hole. What does that mean? It means there's a massive amount of sludgy, dense consciousness that I am consuming that is moving through the same channel that keeps me aligned. Okay, I'm observing that and I'm aware of that. Great. Now what can I do? I can start to pull myself out of whatever experiences are creating that density, right? I don't have to stay in that experience. For instance, you don't have to stay in a back and forth argument with somebody. You don't have to stay in a social media post where it's like argument after argument after argument. You don't have to stay in anything that is creating that density, right? You experience it, you're in it, you have it, but then you observe it and you say, okay, step 2 is I'm going to pull myself out of that now, right? So I'm going to basically shut that density off. It's not going to be filtered in anymore. That's step 2. You choose to step out of it. And then step 3 is you bring yourself back into center, right? With your breath. Your breath. So being quiet, meditating, moving your body perhaps, sitting in nature, sitting by a tree. Not distracting yourself, not eating or drinking or anything that you do, watching Netflix, those are not going to bring you back into a centered, aligned state. You want to bring yourself back into that flow, right? Where everything's just moving, and you want to process that density through your body, And the way you do that is you get quiet. You find your breath and you allow the breath to move that density through. What happens when we first learn to do this, or recognize that this is what's happening, is that we get so lost in the density coming in. It's so intense out there that we get in it. We're angry, we're rageful, we're sad, we're sick to our stomach, or whatever that is, right? And then we think that this is the reality. We forget that, oh my God, wait a second, I'm also in an aligned, connected state right now. I just have to find my way through and back into that. So find the breath, breathe, separate out of whatever experiences we're creating that massive density coming in. This is not to say that you don't want to be aware of, experience, and feel that density. You do. But once you do, you have a choice as to how long you want to perpetuate it, how long you want to be in it. You don't need to be in it for an extended amount of time unless you choose to. And then if you're choosing to, just be aware of what you're choosing to agree to experience. All that density. So again, step one is understanding what's happening, being the observer, recognizing what is occurring. Okay? Step two is choosing to pull yourself out, right? I'm going to no longer engage. I'm going to not respond. I'm not going to look. I'm not going to go on social media, whatever that is, right? Take a break, pull yourself out of it. And step three is to find the breath. Bring yourself back into an aligned state. You were wobbly, right? Let's get back into this aligned state by quieting myself, whether it's meditation, walking, sitting outside, whatever it is, going for a drive, right? But find the breath in the body and just get quiet. 5 minutes will, boom, the density will have integrated into the light, just like that. It doesn't take long. You can shift yourself in 2.2 seconds. I promise you. If you're aware of what's occurring, be aware of what's occurring. This is what's occurring. On an energetic level, I'm not talking about a third dimensional level. I'm talking about on an energetic level, because you're an energetic being trying to navigate a physical reality. And so you have to understand it through energy, because it's really not physical, it's energy. And you are an energetic being, and you have an energetic system inside of you. And you are always ingesting through your channel dense consciousness. And you are always in an aligned, connected state. It's just remembering how to get there, how to stay there, and what it feels like when you're wobbly, why you feel wobbly, and coming back, right? So practice. I hope this helps. Thank you so much for courageously navigating every single now moment. Don't beat yourself up. Please. There's no right or wrong in how we navigate this, right? But the more we bring ourselves back into that aligned state, the easier it is to navigate. The easier it is to experience the density and to let the density just move through us and integrate into light. You're not doing anything wrong. Nobody's doing anything wrong. We're all navigating this to the best of our abilities. Come back to you. Come back to you. You are a higher consciousness, remembering all of this. You are a higher consciousness that chose to be here now, to shift the collective, to go through everything you're going through. Please have compassion for yourself and all other beings that are navigating their nows. I love you.